I feel like leadership to me, I used to think it was just being this boss, holding this title. And I know now that it's shepherding people. You as a leader are identifying things in people that they haven't even realized are there. You're drawing it out of them, and you're helping them stand up in who God's created them to be.
That voice you just heard is Kalee Rich, wife, mom of 3, and sales director at Betenbough Homes. I had an absolute blast sitting down with her for this one. We laughed, we got deep, and we covered everything from leadership and motherhood to prayer and sacred pace. You're going to love this one. Let's dive in. All right, welcome back to Leading Lubbock. Today, I've got the privilege of sitting down with Kalee Rich. Kalee, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So, Kalee, you are the sales director at Betenbough. Mm-hmm. So you've got a lot on your plate. I'm excited to hear a little bit more about that and that role. I'm sure that's going to come up a lot.
Sure.
But
yeah.
Also, you're a wife and a mom.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about your family.
Okay, yeah. I have been married to Randall for 13 years. He's lots of fun. He's the fun parent in our home for sure. We met in college and here at Tech. And so we left a little bit and went to Dallas, and then work brought us back here to Lubbock. So we've been back for 13 years, and we have 3 kids. Rowan, he is our oldest. He's 9 years old. He goes to Trinity, and he loves baseball and all things sports. Ellison, we call her Ellie. She has more sass and sparkle than I even know what to do with. She keeps us on our toes, and she is 4.
Okay.
She's going to start pre-K at Trinity next year and is so excited about it. And then Collier, that was the Lord's surprise to us.
Okay.
She is 2 now, and she's just a big box of fun and is so cuddly and sweet, and just... Our family didn't know we needed her, and it's just what we've needed. So the Lord was so kind to us in that. And yes, I've been the sales director at Betenbough for also 13 years.
Wow, 13 is just a big number for you.
Well,
right
I'm
now.
sorry. I haven't been the sales director for 13 years. I've been with
there.
Betenbough for 13 years.
Awesome.
Yes. It's been a sweet journey of progression there, and just development and growth for me. And yeah, our life is full. We do travel baseball. Our family loves to travel, and we love to stay connected with friends. And we enjoy life group with friends at our church. And yeah, our families live here in Lubbock and are close by. So that's such a sweet thing too. Yeah, my parents moved here a couple of years ago, and so having them here has been such a gift.
Yes.
And so sweet with our kids,
I
too.
bet they're having a great time.
They are.
With a 9, 4, and 2-year-old.
Yes.
Life is good.
Yeah, it's keeping them young, maybe.
That's right. Well, great. So we have 4 kids, and I've got a 4, 6, 9, and 10. So we're in that same stage of life as you.
Yes.
And we also do baseball.
Okay.
With my 10-year-old. So
okay. You know how busy that is.
I know how busy it is. We don't travel.
Okay.
So we're not at that level, but it's still... It doesn't matter what level you're in. It's consuming, but it's fun.
It is.
We're having a good time with it.
I'm learning how to be a baseball mom right now.
Yeah?
So
it's a big role.
He likes all that drip. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, that baseball drip. So.
Oh yeah. Yep. And then you got a 2-year-old that just tags along.
Oh yeah. She's just baseball siblings, they're the real deal. They leave those fields and they are dirtier than my little baseball player, but it's lots of fun. She just tags along and is a good sport.
I love that. All right, well, I love your family, just you talking about them, and I could tell that there's just a sparkle in your eyes whenever they come to mind, and you're talking about each one of your kids and your husband. So
thanks.
I can tell how special that is to you. So
yes.
Really neat, and I'm sure you handle your role at Betenbough with as much care as you do your family too. It's probably just an extension of what's going on at home.
I certainly try to. Yeah. It's a balance, just being a working mom. I'm really passionate about working moms. The Lord has led me on quite the journey in that. And so, just being able to shepherd my own kids as well as my team with the same care, it's something that I really intentionally try my best at.
Yeah. Okay. I want to make sure we circle back around to that at some point, which I'm sure it'll come up. But
okay, yeah.
Your care for working moms specifically.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, I you know, when I had Rowan, I guess I just always thought that I might be a stay-at-home mom after I had kids. And the Lord just really was working on my heart in that. I had a lot of restlessness, though, with staying at home. And just when seeking the Lord, I feel like He's shown me my calling. I am a working mom. I'm being obedient to my calling and what He's placed me in. And He's just, I think sometimes people think maybe obedience is staying at home. In my case, obedience was going back to work. And He had some other purposes for me. And He's just worked a lot in my heart and getting to that place and just realizing that and standing up in it boldly of being able to be a working mom and a present mom at home. And I care about all the things. I still care about all the parties and the field trips and, you know, what their lunches look like and things like that. And it can be hard, but it's sacred and holy work, you know?
That's so good, because I think sometimes there can be guilt on either side of it.
Absolutely.
And you probably know that more than anybody. Some stay-at-home moms maybe, and I'm speaking from this as my wife is also a stay-at-home mom. And so I know sometimes there can be maybe a level of not feeling like you're contributing, you know, to the income. Sure. And also on the flip side of that, I think there's this guilt sometimes when moms leave and go to work and that they're not a stay-at-home mom. And so I love that you can speak into that, especially the women at your office, because I know it's needed. And seeing a stay-at-home mom, I know the work that they do
it is
at home.
tiresome, you know? Yes.
I admire moms in general, because they're all working tremendously hard.
They really are.
Whether they're at home with the kiddos or sacrificing going to work and coming back home to kiddos.
Yes, so it is the sweetest and hardest calling, you know, title, all of the things. But I'm so thankful just to get to enjoy motherhood and learn and grow in it. And the Lord He is sanctifying me in it throughout it.
He does that.
He does that. He has a funny way of doing that. So
well, great. Well, I want to talk leadership, so we'll shift gears a little bit now. And this could be in whatever facet of life. I mean, we can go the Betenbough route or mom route, so you can take it wherever you want. But to you, what does effective leadership look like? And then has that evolved over time, and how?
Yeah. So, you know, growing up, I just thought, man, you were a leader when you were the boss, right? You had that title of just being the boss. And I just have learned so much about leadership at Betenbough Homes. I feel really privileged. I worked for a short time, when I was in Dallas, but I feel like I've grown up at Betenbough, and it's been the most amazing place to just show me what leadership looks like and how the Lord has intended it. And so, I feel like leadership to me, I used to think it was just being this boss, holding this title. And I know now that it's shepherding people. You as a leader are identifying things in people that they haven't even realized are there. You're drawing it out of them, and you're helping them stand up in who God's created them to be. And so that is what effective leadership for me has been. I've experienced it at Betenbough. I started there as our new home hostess and transitioned into becoming a closing specialist there. And I can still remember my leader at the time. I think she's actually been on this podcast, Kalee Rich.
Yes.
She got to lead me. I got to be led by her. And I've learned so much from her. But I still remember her and our other general manager. They came and asked me to be our sales manager. And I just thought, you got the wrong girl, I didn't think I was ready for that. And, good leaders, they identify and see things in you that you just never thought possible. And they helped cultivate that in me and stand me up in that. And yeah, so I think that really that's what an effective leader does.
Yeah, I keep hearing the same thing over and over as you're talking about that, and you said it twice. The drawing out.
Oh yeah, the drawing out. Well, so oftentimes we just, I feel like with the, not just the world, but the enemy, the voices, we have so many voices going on in our heads, right? And it's like, who are you listening to? And so for me, it's making sure that I'm hearing the truth, what the Lord is telling me, who I am, my identity. And I think as leaders, we can help show people the truth and who the Lord's created them to be. It's easy to compare ourselves to others, to feel like we don't have those giftings or callings, and that we just wouldn't do a good job at it, you know, and that's just not true. And so the leader sees that in you, and it calls it out, helps you stand up in that. And I've had leaders in my journey at Betenbough that has helped me in that a lot, because being a confident leader is so important. We have to be confident leaders. People want to be led with someone that's confident, but not just the world's view of confident, of knowing all of the answers. It's really just being able to stop and say, I don't know that too. Like, to me, that's confidence in a leader, and Betenbough has taught me that. You don't have to have all the answers to be a confident leader. But.
Yeah. I like thinking about people having their own superpower.
Yeah.
And just like the gifting, just another way for gifting. And so I've actually gotten ChatGPT to create like versions of a superhero of me.
Oh,
so sometimes when we lead meetings here, that's how I'll introduce the topic of like, what's your superpower?
Oh, I like it. Yeah.
So that's always fun. But what I love about what you're saying is this idea of somebody's got these giftings nestled somewhere deep within.
Yeah.
And the ability of a leader to go beyond the surface, dive a little bit deeper, but also see something in them that they don't see in themselves all the time, or maybe don't have the confidence in to capture and to draw themselves into, which is not easy, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody has that gifting to be able to be like, hi, I see what you've got going on there, and I'm going to help nurture that and to grow that. So what a gift.
I think as leaders, though, you have to be praying for your people, and you have to care enough about who they're becoming. And when you can get to that place, it's a habit of mine that I pray for my people every day. You have to be praying for the people that you lead. And I oftentimes ask, Lord, like, do you have a word for them that I can share? And it's so sweet how he can just place something in I can be asking for it for months and not feel like I've heard anything. And then right when I hear something and I'm able to go share that with them, it's like right when they've needed it. And so as leaders, we have to be doing that too. But you have to love them. I feel like at Betenbough, they've shown us that, as a parent, you never even think about your kid becoming better than you and being concerned with that. Like, you want that. I want Rowan and Ellie and Collier to be greater than me. And so I'm correcting them, and I'm coaching them, and I'm sharing things with them, and I'm helping develop them because I love them. And as leaders, we have to be that same way. We have to care about them enough and love them to where we call out those things. We correct them out of love, just like a parent would. And so sometimes that can be, that feedback can be hard and a little bit painful. But you're doing it in a way that you want them to know you care for them. You care them more than to stay silent. Love doesn't stay silent. It just doesn't. It corrects and it leans in. And so for me, that whole concept has shifted me as a leader, because I naturally want to be liked. I want to be liked by you. I want to be your friend. I want this room to feel good, all of the things. And so I don't naturally run towards correction with people. My kids is fine, right? But like with people, I'm like, I want to be liked, and I don't want to ruin our relationship. And Betenbough's just really helped show me that correction actually is when I'm caring for them. I'm loving them enough because I care. I say, hey, I love you enough to where what I'm seeing, we can't stay here anymore. We've got to, change has to happen.
Yeah.
And that can be hard to hear, but, I say that, like, when you need, in a medical sense, when a joint needs to be reset, it's dislocated, like that snap, it's painful, but that's when the healing has to take place. And same with, our leadership. Sometimes we have to have those hard conversations that draw people out if they've been complacent. You can't just let them sit there. How would they ever know to correct it too if we're not sharing that with them? So
So I love that you started and let all that off with prayer, like praying for your people. Because there's something extremely powerful about that. I'm sure there's also a level of question asking, and seeking to understand, because we can't just identify things without knowing somebody. And so really this attentiveness, like that's what comes to my mind, is you're being extremely attentive to the people who you're leading. And it's not just, they're not a number, they're not just a name on employee list. It really does become you wanting to get to know them, identifying who they are, and then strengths can get drawn out of that. So
I have to get to know them on such a personal level to really know, what ticks them, what excites them, how they operate. Like, loving them in that way helps me identify things that I can pull out of them and help steward. I'm not just stewarding, their performance. I'm stewarding them. And so, you have to love your people.
Well, I love that. What about you? What are some things that you practice on a daily basis when it comes to leadership? Do you have any habits or routines or just ways you embody that?
So spiritually, in the morning, I have to spend time with the King. If I'm not doing that, how can I hear from him? And so if I'm leading people, I have to make sure that I'm being led by him. So I would say in the morning, I read my Bible scripture. And just within this last year, I've really started practicing after I'm done. It's so easy to kind of pray and go on with your day, but I've just sat in silence so that I can hear from him. A conversation, it's the two of us right now, we're talking, right? And so often, my prayers were just letting him know all the requests I had and thanking him along the way. And I just never intentionally created space where I could just sit there and, Lord, I want to hear from you. And so I do that. I ask him to highlight people in my day who I need to slow down and spend time with, or say an encouraging word to. I feel like the Lord has gifted me with encouragement. And so I feel like I have to make sure that I need to use that to glorify him. And so it's so easy. I think we can think something about someone, a compliment, and we just keep it to ourselves. And so I always try to make sure I share those with people. If the Lord's placed a friend on my heart that doesn't even live in Lubbock, I'm always trying to reach out. Hey, you're on my heart today. Is there something I could pray for? Or maybe the Lord's given me a prayer to share with them. So encouraging others. I have tried to not have coffee with my quiet time in the mornings, let my cortisol levels naturally come up on their own. So I have electrolytes and water, and then I get to my coffee. I feel like that is helping me with clear thoughts. And so that's a little habit of mine. I really try to see people throughout the day. So slowing down, being present, which I think you were kind of alluding to, like you had just said, I feel like you really see your people. And I think leadership a lot of times is about being just present with them, We think that it's performance, or the world thinks it's performance, and that our names are on things, and that's not how the Lord asks us to lead, So
I love that, even the fact that people who are on your mind, and it may not be anybody you're interacting with on a daily basis, but I'm sure there's just names and faces that pop into your head and you're reaching out to regularly.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love that too, because I mean, there's a word that just keeps coming to my mind over and over with you, and that's attentiveness. Like, it just is, you can't walk through your day and be able to text somebody, reach out to somebody if you're so self-focused.
Oh, right.
I mean, like all you're going to be worried about is who are you meeting next? What do you need to say? How do you need to say it? What do you want from it?
Yes.
How are you going to get that thing? Right. And when you're driven in that way, your focus is very inward. Yeah. But what I'm hearing is just like your mind is open and thoughts are coming in. People are coming in because that's what you're allowing it to do. So I love that. And I'm wondering if the silence in the morning has something to do with that too.
Maybe
like
so.
That practice of just listening, opening up, being aware, not just sending the needs over. Like, hey, God, this is what's next. This is what I need. Yeah. But the opening up.
Well, I can without a doubt tell you it's helped me as a wife and a mom and a leader, just hearing from the Lord. You know, that wasn't a practice that I thought you could get better at, but it absolutely is. You just have to be intentional with it. And the Lord's talking through us throughout the day. It's just sometimes we have, sometimes it can be a listening problem, but sometimes it's just an obedience problem because you're not recognizing his voice, you know? And when you can work on it, just like you can, you know, you can recognize movie stars' voices sometimes without even, you know, knowing, seeing them, you know, just hearing them. It's the same way with the Lord. You know, Denzel Washington. Yeah, absolutely. And so just practicing that, it is probably it is the most powerful thing I think that we can do as leaders, because we're just being open-handed, hearing from the Lord, what do you have for us today? And it will probably be different than the day before, you know, so just slowing down.
Yeah, well, great job for doing that, because it's not easy.
It's not easy. And don't hear that I do a great job at it, but I try.
Yeah, it's a practice.
Yeah, it is a practice. For sure. It is a practice.
Well, has there been a pivotal moment, like in your career or life, that's kind of shaped who Kalee is today? Anything along the journey that stood out to you? I
think I kind of alluded to it, but I was just wanting to be a stay-at-home mom, or I thought that's what the Lord had placed. It was what I wanted to do, right? So I just thought that that's what I would do someday. And it was a pivotal moment when I felt finally like, this is actually where I want you. And so I viewed my work differently as a calling. And I feel like it just has shaped everything in where I am today. When you view your work as something that is sacred, there is this term. So Betenbough, it's called Kingdom at Work, and we have these workshops. And this word that I had never heard before was shared at it. It was called Avodah. And it means work, worship, and service. It's a Hebrew word. It's one word that means those same three things. And I just never thought as my work as being something that is worshiping the Lord. Yeah. And so when I had heard that, I was like, oh my goodness, like, how can I just be half in it? And so when I just realized, Lord, this is where you've called me to, it changed everything for me in that. And then going back to just loving people is holding them accountable also was a pivotal shift for me, because a quick story on this. There was someone that I was leading in my care, and they were, a high performer, high capacity, smart, just all of the things. Just, you could look away and know that they're going to take care of their work. And I just thought they were, from the outside, they were crushing it. But in my spirit, I knew the Lord was telling me that I needed to talk to them about humility. And, when that's more of a behavioral issue, it's easy for us to not want to go give feedback to someone, right? And so I just stayed silent for a little while until we were in a meeting and we were discussing, discussing people on the next level of leadership, and their name was thrown out. And I just was like, I'm not going to be able to recommend them. We have humility to work on. And I was so convicted in that moment because I thought, how would they ever know that they need to grow in humility if I don't ever tell them? And I was so worried that I would damage our relationship. I knew this person believed in God, but I didn't know if they had a relationship with him. And so I was wondering do they even know what I would mean by humility, much less how it could be developed? And, but I was so convicted. And so I went on and had that conversation with them, and it was so good for the both of us. It made me be a courageous leader and lean into that conversation. And it opened up growth for them in a way that, me remaining silent never would have.
Yeah.
And they have grown so much in it.
Man.
And it just showed me, though, that is an example of, like, doing the hard thing that helps someone grow. And I feel like when I viewed correction and accountability from that way, it helped me as a leader so much.
Well, there's that difference between being nice and being kind.
Yeah.
The kind thing to do isn't always necessarily easy or just, West Texas politeness. Sometimes there is that little bit of a, hey, we need to sit down and chat.
Yeah.
And growth that comes from it many times because we chose to lean into that.
Yes.
So
well, I don't know about you, but I know when I've had bold, courageous leaders come to me with feedback. Yeah, it's not fun to hear in the moment, but those are the moments where I've been able to grow the most. And so we honestly don't live in a world that is good with feedback and how it's received. And so I feel fortunate to be at a place where that is a norm at Betenbough. And so it's helped me in that, and it's helped me step back. I can't go to someone and correct them out of frustration or embarrassment or something on my part. I have to step back and pray, like, Lord, who have you called them to be? I need to pray in that and help me play a part in where you're wanting them to go. I want to help cultivate and nurture that in there. Gina Roach, she's our CEO of Betenbough Companies, and she does a Kingdom at Work talk, and she talks about how as leaders, we're not mechanics. We can't just fix things, but we're more like gardeners. We're cultivating and nurturing and people that are in our lives, this garden that we have. So
yeah, I love a good analogy.
Oh, me too.
So like, let's jump in on that, especially gardening, because I'm right in the middle of it. I'm a big gardener.
I love it.
Peppers and jalapenos. Those are peppers and tomatoes. So all varieties. And
you have raised garden beds at home?
I don't, but I have a pretty long one. I do the whole mulch and got layers going on.
Love it.
Yeah, I get into it. But what I love about what you're saying, not a mechanic who fixes things, but a gardener who nurtures and cultivates. The thing about a mechanic and thinking about the car, I love that because, yes, you go in, there's an issue, it comes out resolved.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking right now there's some kind of insect in the garden, right? And it's eating the leaves. So I'm like, how am I going to get rid of this thing, right? I don't know exactly what it is. So I'm spraying some stuff on it. And it's not like I go out tomorrow and I see the change immediately, right? The leaves aren't just like fixed and the bug isn't just naturally gone.
Yeah.
Right. But it's this deterrent thing. It's this over time. Hopefully I'm going to start seeing new leaves and new growth and new life. But a process.
Yes, it is a process.
And I love that because I've never really compared it in that way to being a fixer versus being a cultivator.
Oh, yeah. It's, leadership, it's this long, drawn-out journey of development. It's not just one-off conversations here and there. Yeah. It's just this journey that we're going on with people. So.
Well, I love that. Now I've got to go dive in more to this whole cultivate.
Get your gardening gloves on, huh?
That's right. Lessons in the garden. I'm trying to think of how can we turn this into something. But, well, how about, is there anything that you know now that you wish you would have known much earlier on in life or in your career?
I wish earlier on that I wouldn't have thought that leadership in my mind was about having all the answers. I put so much pressure on myself in the beginning, as in my first leader role as a sales manager. I felt like it was me that needed to have all the ideas. Like, I was the leader, and honestly thought, like, if someone on my team had a great idea that was shared, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm not doing my job. And so if I could just go back in time and just tell myself, leadership is not about having all of the answers. It's actually more about listening and asking good questions with people. Just like it goes back to drawing that, out of others, because the Lord, he wants us to work together. In the Bible, he never just gave the answer to one person, and so he wants us to collaborate. And so leadership is inviting people. Maybe it's asking people under your care questions that maybe actually aren't at their level, but hearing what they have to say about it and letting them, getting their perspective on it. It will help us, but it also helps them, be confident and just think, wow, they really care about what I might have to think about this.
I'm contributing.
Yeah. And so just this collaboration piece, I wish that I knew that earlier on, that it wasn't all on me as a leader to have the answers. And so I would say that for sure.
Okay. Ed Wentz was on early on in the podcast, and one of the things he talked about, it stood out to me so much, bringing issues home from work. He led Wentz Orthodontics, and him and his wife would bring problems that they had or just issues. I mean, not necessarily a problem, but just hit a roadblock somewhere. And they brought it to their kids at the dinner table and said, what would you do? And what do you think about this? And young. Yeah. And I'm thinking, man, what an empowering thing for a kid to grow into.
Absolutely.
But I'm thinking the same thing with the people we work with of, what would you do? Because I'm not the only one looking at this thing. And on the other side, you have a different vantage point. Like, you're seeing something different than I am.
Yes.
And so that's a great key lesson. And it's okay to raise your hand as a leader and say, I don't understand. Like, can you explain that to me? Because I'm not following. Or I don't know what this term is that you're saying. And being humble in that way. It's
amazing to see. We always try to think of an idea just half baked, and if you think through an idea all the way, your hand is going to be, it's going to close around that. And when someone kind of pokes holes in it, you're going to be defensive around that, and less willing to change it. And so we really try to collaborate early on, and the best ideas come from everybody, hearing from everyone. And so
and being able to shoot somebody's ideas down and not be hurt by it.
Exactly.
All right, let's do another one.
That didn't work. So what else,
Yes. Yeah. That's good. So what are you learning right now? What is something that's been on your heart, or a good book or a good podcast or lesson in Betenbough? Like, what's Kalee learning, and how are you growing today?
Oh man. Well, I always try to, while I'm getting ready, listen to a podcast. So the Craig Rochelle Leadership podcast is my go-to.
Yeah,
he's
so
my
good.
go-to, man. He is he's the real deal. And I love who he always invites. They just there's so much wisdom in that. So I feel like I also I try to listen to some health podcasts too. I'm trying to be better and more intentional with how I'm stewarding my body. So oftentimes we think, we need to steward our money and resources well, but goodness, time and our bodies are big ones that we just don't do well with sometimes. And so, I just learning about how I can make my body function better right now. And I would say the Lord He's showing me how to steward my time better right now. Maybe I'm not learning it. He's trying to help me learn it right now. It's been a little challenging for me lately. And so just praying that I'm saying no to the things that I'm supposed to be saying no to. I think as leaders, saying no can be hard. And we don't want to let others down. So it's just like, yes, yes, yes.
Right.
We'll do that. And it can really bog down our schedules. And so the Lord has me in a journey right now that I'm learning, Lord, where do you want me? What am I supposed to say no to? And stewarding that part of my time.
Yeah, that's great, because I've told people before, especially sitting on this side, as I'm talking with individuals, like, no is hard. And as a leader, you're going to be asked more for more leadership opportunities, or more like, hey, will you be involved in this? Or, and not because you're better at it or anything, but you're there, you're at all the things anyways. And so, hey, Kalee's showing up. Like, hey, do you want to do this thing too?
Just pack it all on.
You can handle it. You've handled everything else.
Yeah.
And the obligation to feel like you should contribute as well.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous combination.
It really is.
And this is the things that we miss out on, that we're saying no to by saying yes to that thing, because we're always saying no to something, right? By saying yes. Mm-hmm. And so, or we can say no and say yes to other opportunities, or family, or fill in the blank. And so that, I'm with you on that. Let's keep journeying through it.
Yeah. I know that I've actually told my husband, I was like, we think we're busy, but like our youngest even isn't in sports right now,
right. Right.
So what is this going to look like? And sometimes if I think too far down the road, I can really get myself worked up. And so the Lord's just kind of been talking to me about my pace.
Yeah. That's good.
And just slowing down, being present in the right places. I think when we get too busy, I might be physically in this room, but my mind might be somewhere else, And so am I giving this the best I can if my mind is somewhere else? And so you have to be so intentional with our calendars and and our families.
Yeah.
So,
and giving yourself enough white space in the calendar too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I can breathe a little bit in between, which is not always easy.
It's not always easy. We put on our calendars at work, time with the Lord. It's very intentional, and I have found myself being able to move that around when needed. And I'm like, oh, that one can go, because I need to do this. And goodness, the Lord's also talked to me about that. Think of him just at the table. We've made this, arrangement to meet at 10 a.m. and I never show up. Yeah. And he's just sitting there. Yeah, and he was like, oh man, I thought Kalee was gonna come here today. And I just moved it around so just flippantly. And just this analogy, it's so powerful. And so I feel like he's just showed me how important it is to keep true to our schedules and respect our schedules. So
yeah. So one of the things that I was actually thinking about it this morning, sitting at a coffee shop, and I moved something I actually deleted something out of my calendar today that was more like an appointment with myself than it was with anybody else. And after I did it, I thought, like, I would never just talk, have an appointment with you and then just like delete. And not let or maybe just say like, hey, I'm not going to make it. I'm not showing up. Like, that's
we don't do that with other people.
And so same thing, but man, thinking about it with quiet time, thinking about it with just
with Jesus,
with Jesus. Yeah. Man, okay, that's good. So this book, I'm excited to get into because I've heard a little bit about it. And when I asked you a book recommendation, you said Sacred Pace.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear what impacted you about it, what stood out about this book.
Well, isn't the title alone just so convicting?
That's why I feel like we can just like move straight into this of what we're talking about.
I mean, I'm like, man, I could just read the title and kind of like be good.
Yeah.
But Terry Looper here, he invites us into really with leadership in our decision making, coming to a neutral place to where, the outcome is we're good either way. We're in a world where leaders, we feel like we have to have all the answers. Everyone's looking to us. We have to make quick decisions. And this is inviting us to slow down and inviting God into our decision making. And he cares about the small decisions and the big ones. And so he just wants us to get to this place where it's like, Lord, if you want me to go here, I'm going to be okay with it. And if you want me to go here, I'm going to be okay with it. And I feel like, it's not just leadership decisions at work, though. Like the Lord wants us to be asking him about all of these things that we have going on in our lives. And we naturally probably tend to ask him whenever we're not really confident in what we should do. Like, Lord, I don't know. Will you give me, make it real clear to me. Show me, Lord. I need it real clear, right? That's probably a prayer that's a prayer I've prayed before. Yeah. And, anyways, it just invites us to slow down and hear from him in decision making. And, which is so good because it's not just the decisions that I don't know about. It's the ones that I actually could make in a split second that he wants to hear from us too. And what does he want us to do? Right.
Yeah. Maybe push back on that a little bit. And say,
yeah.
That's not the thing that we need to be moving in right now.
Exactly.
One of the things I love is reading the subtitles of the books, especially the book recommendations, but you have 4 steps to hearing God and aligning yourself with his will. And I love that. I mean, there's different things involved in that, but hearing and aligning and then his will being at the center of it. Yes. You don't know what that is if you're not asking, if you're not being attentive to that. So
yes,
I love it.
It's so good.
Okay. So what we're going to do is before you leave here, I want you to write a little note in this, and then we're going to give it away to somebody who's following on our Instagram page. And so hopefully somebody else is going to get to be impacted by this. And I just need to get me a copy of it so I can sit down and read it because I've heard enough about it. I'm like, okay, God, I got it. I need to sit down and read it.
You'll probably feel some conviction.
I probably will, just even by the title.
Yeah, I know.
It's already there.
Yes.
Well, I like to conclude with one question. It's my favorite one, and that's if you can define leadership into one sentence, what would that be?
Stewarding people that the Lord's entrusted in your care with love.
Okay. Yeah. I love that. So stewarding people that God has entrusted you.
Care with love. Yeah.
To care with love. I love that. Okay. Well, I can hear that written all over everything we talked about. I mean, just the way that you take a lot of responsibility for what God has given you. And I could tell that like your family, your role, your friendships, that God he's given you that gift and you're stewarding it. Like you could tell that it's something that's a priority to you. Yeah. I love that. And I could tell you're doing it with care. And even going back to the attentiveness piece, like that's where the care shows up, is you being super attentive. So I love seeing themes when I meet with people, and your theme is just so evident. So I love that. And I'm sure people who are around you and in your circle just feel it. I'm sure they feel your presence and your love for them.
Well, thank you. That is a goal that I have for sure. Yeah. Really, just that the Lord shows up through me. So. Yeah,
I think you're a light.
Well, thanks.
Be my guess. When you walk into a room, it probably just brightens just by you walking in. So keep being that. And thank you for your time today. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I've so enjoyed it, and just how you've been able to expand on wherever I'm heading. It's neat to see just how you connect so easily with people. So
awesome. Well, thank you for that. Well, I look forward to watching your role just continue at Betenbough when the lives changed. And let's keep going from here.
Let's do it.
All right. Thanks for coming.